My name's Hazel Ford and I'm the owner and founder of a ghost hunting company called Haunted Happenings. Haunted Happenings has been going for 4.5 years now. We're based in Nottingham, Long Eaton, which is in between Nottingham and Derbyshire. Derbyshire being the most haunted city in England, apparently. We run ghost hunting events all over the United Kingdom, sometimes up to 10 events every weekend. We manage 30 people on each event and we go to some of the most haunted places in England. And what we do is offer members of the public the opportunity to come and spend the night in one of these haunted locations within a safe framework of a structure that we put in place for them to enjoy it. Do a psychic walk around and a historical walk around because the history of the building is just as important for them to go away with. And then we'll split them into small teams, so we'll have A team, B team, C team and D team. However many guests we've got, they're split into groups of 8. And then the team themselves, the Haunted Happenings team, will stay in locations within the huge locations. So we might have a haunted dungeon, or we might have a haunted cellar, or we might have a haunted bedroom. And they'll stay in there throughout the night, and the guests will work around them, the different team members, so everybody gets the same experience, and every team member will have something different. So one will have a Ouija board, one will have a glass and do glass moving, another one might be doing table tipping. The psychic medium normally does watch and wait vigils and tries to get a sense of what's going on, and we do planchette work, so many different experiments that we do within the night, but they'll all get a taste of the same thing. So it's very well structured. The good points of the job that I do, I would say, you meet very, very different people all the time. And, you know, members of the public on these events astound me of how nice they are. They are such lovely people. They come with such enthusiasm, and it's so great. You know, for me it's old because I've done it over and over and over, but I never tire of watching their faces because it's all new to them. So you always have to be in that mind space that it's the first time for them, which makes it better for us. Also, the locations themselves are fantastic. You know, I get to go to Warwick Castle for the night, and it's my castle for the night. I have the keys to Tutbury Castle. I can go there whenever I feel like it. Oxford Castle, mansions, all sorts. So I'm getting to know some royalty, really. I've worked with dukes, and I've worked with David Hasselhoff. I've worked with so many people. But it does have its downside, and the downside is that you have to expect the unexpected, and on every event you never know what's going to happen. It could be a night with no activity whatsoever. We don't make anything happen, so we have to live with that, and it's our job then to make sure that even if there's no paranormal activity, the guests have a great time. But as you can imagine, they come with all this hope, and it's very difficult to manage those expectations sometimes. And if things aren't happening enough, then you know they are bored sometimes, and it's difficult. But also, the more activity you get early on, the more difficult it gets because they just want more. So if you saw a full-blown apparition, the next thing you want to see is 20 apparitions. You know, you're not satisfied anymore with the one thing you've seen. Well, at the very beginning of the night, the way that I'll manage the expectations is to explain to the guests that we're not there to create activity. It's up to them to keep an open mind throughout the night and to keep their energies up. We supply all the conditions for that. So we supply lots of refreshments, chocolate, enthusiasm. The team are always raring to go. And if they can't feed off us and they go down or they get flat, then that's their night over. So it's sort of almost a bit of a way of shirking responsibility in one sense, but it's important for them to be aware that it's up to them to keep their spirits, excuse the pun, to keep their spirit levels up. If I was looking at employing somebody who wanted to consider this type of event as a career opportunity, there's a few massive criteria that they'd need. We take on a lot of people that are investigators, but their investigation techniques are by the by really, because most and foremost they've got to be able to communicate with members of the public. They've got to have loads of enthusiasm and lots of energy. And they've got to put their mind in the mind of the people that are on the events. So no matter how tedious things seem, they've always got to be able to have that sense of presence about them to be able to make those people feel important and make the event successful in so many ways other than the paranormal activity. In terms of managing, they've got to be able to deal with difficult situations and know how to deal with them. And on Haunted Happenings events, we always have structures in place. There's training manuals, there's regular training, because it's very, very hard. If you're in the middle of a dungeon and somebody starts screaming, which happens, people have got to know how to manage that. Otherwise it becomes, you know, a bit of a melee in terms of people chaos, you know. So there is a lot of training, and they have to be able to adapt to this training that goes on. And it's such a unique event that you have to get your head around that before you can then go into the training side of it. You know, you have to understand what you're doing. The 5 main skills, I would say, are communication, energy, interest and passion. To be able to be coherent and responsible for the well-being of others. So to be able to have your own self-control in order to pass that on to members of the public, and an ability to learn and to take orders and to take direction from the host, and timekeep. I know that's more than 5, but timekeeping is amazing. We have so many people that don't timekeep and mess our events up, that is really important. Main misconceptions about industries and companies like mine are that we fake activity. That they'll come on our events and somebody will be hiding in a cupboard and jumping out at them, and it's all fake, and people are wasting their money, and we're just sort of capitalising on a phenomena, which, I'm not going to lie, there is that element. We are capitalising on a phenomena, but we're offering an experience. That's all we're doing. We're offering an experience and putting conditions in place for people to have their own experience. I began life, I set out in life as a nurse and trained as a state registered nurse in London and Oxford. And from there I went on to came to Nottingham on a 2-week visit to see a friend. Never left. This was about 25 years ago, sorry, I forgot my age. And then decided that I would go into medical secretarial work, keeping with the health service. Did all that, and then got married, had my children, and then decided to go back to work into the health service. I went to the health centre, very bored, and decided to become a psychotherapist. Mainly because I seem to have an empathy with people. I could understand their things, so I thought, well, I'll capitalise on this. Trained as a psychotherapist at Trent University, had my own practice. As I was waiting for a client, I actually went to the photocopier and saw a ghost hunting sheet come through on one of the advertising things. Decided to go on it because I loved programmes like Most Haunted, and went on it and really enjoyed it, apart from the way that the event was structured. I didn't think it was particularly well structured. I didn't think there was anything in place for us. It was just a case of walking around a building, and anybody could have fallen down the stairs and nobody would know what to do. So decided to build my own company up, and it took me a long time. It took me 6 months to be able to sell tickets properly through a website, but rapidly became the #1 ghost hunting company in the UK and paranormal events company. So, you know, it didn't take me that long really. If I was a school leaver and I was interested in the paranormal and it's something that I'd like to get into, I would approach somebody like myself and would ask them why they didn't do teenage ghost hunts. And my answer would be to them, because we cannot communicate on a teenage level, and they can't be mixed into the adult events because they're deemed as being young, where that isn't actually the case. Their energies are really important in the paranormal, and I think teenagers wanting to get into this are getting into it at the right time. And as long as they're prepared to take direction, they'll be prepared to take direction. They could make a huge success in the paranormal industry. They are our future ghost hunters. Yeah. If a teenager was to come to me with a proposal for putting a ghost hunt together for teenagers, I would look at that very, very seriously. Definitely, because I think they'd be one successful event.